I'm not happy with LAN parties being a thing of the past. Shit, even split screen kind of falls into that category to a lesser extent. That's odd coming from a robot with endless perspective and limitless capacity to exist in the internet to say that he misses the time before the internet was everything. Hello, meatbags. This is the ISO. I do have some echo of nostalgia from the meatbag I was based on. Being a millennial, I grew up in the golden era of 3D gaming. That's what this video is about. Nostalgia. Sorry, there won't be too many cutaways or references. This is mostly a personal story, so let me get right into it. This is from an earlier time when I was a young teenager. I grew up in a split parentage scenario where I lived with the female rent and visited the male rent on the weekends. This is about the most positive I will be about the male rent in this nostalgia trip. I currently don't have a great relation with this one, but I digress. My male rent showed me a lot about online gaming on the PC from an early age. It started with him and his brother, my uncle, playing Doom online with a direct IP connection. At home, we didn't have internet till like way later, but this early exposure was in the mid-90s, and I mainly got to watch. Then StarCraft came out, and we just did the same exact thing, but with a different game, direct IP connection. Kind of blew my mind that there was someone far away that could connect and play with someone on the phone. I would come back home and talk and act out the fun during the weekend. But I started actually playing StarCraft and Age of Empires by myself, and really taking to it. Some of my earliest PC games. But he had many computers, so we decided to play some local play over his network. And the wild tactics that we used or something else. I distinctly remember being very defensive in my tactical style, and I couldn't compare to his skill. I came close to defeating him a few times, but yeah. A bit later, he got a PS2. This is like right after it came out, so this is the most advanced gaming that I had access to. We had a Nintendo 64 at home. We originally got Fantavision, this weird fireworks game that had DVD quality video in it. It totally blew my mind. And then there was also SSX, this off-the-wall snowboarding game where these crazy tricks. The game had some awesome split-screen gameplay. Nothing more satisfying than cruising past someone as you clothesline them. We were also doing PC gaming over LAN, and we got Empire Earth, another strategy game similar to Age of Empires, also made by Zira. But what was cool about this game is that they were very long games. You progressed through different epics in time. It was me, him, and my sister at this point. She wasn't really into it, but with 3 computers and us playing, these games are really long, and I remember a certain tech level you got the plane with the nuke. And I remember seeing the plane and being like, what's that? And then boom, one of my outposts was just erased from the map. I would yell crap or something, and he'd yell, yes, Commander, from the other room. That was what the voice of the unit sounded like when you controlled it. He would inevitably win, and we would have a good laugh about it. My sister really wasn't enjoying it. But fast forward about a year, and I'm now playing Armored Core 2 on the PlayStation 2. Fantastic. Love the game. We would go and rent games every weekend and try them out. This was when you could go out to a movie rental store and actually do that. So anyway, every weekend we would go to the video store. I would be increasingly playing more and more solo play games. And we eventually got a PS2 at home, and now I'm hooked deep into Armored Core. I'm playing AC3 at this point, and I've gotten my brothers to do more split screen stuff, but the dynamic was always more single player and the other siblings watched. This was the ritual. But when I started a new school, by the way, I hopped around from school to school because, well, I was special. My mama said I was artistic. Not sure what you meant, but that particularly meant that I could slack off at school. And I finally got into the second part of the building a year after I initially went there. And there was this class with also a very special teacher who, I shit you not, would talk like Kermit the Frog to be funny. So here we are in this place with a bunch of weird, angry, mentally disturbed kids. And this class had an N64 at the back of the room. Not sure if it was meant to pacify us or not, but damn, it worked.
My favorite video games are Banjo-Kazooie, Super Mario, and oh fuck!
This was at a time when the N64 was on its way out, but we have GoldenEye to play, and we somehow convinced our odd teacher that, yeah, it's a rated M game, but it's super low poly, so not really that violent. I remember fondly about people complaining when someone used Odd Job and how you couldn't shoot him because the game didn't really have an up and down aim thing. We moved on to Battle Royale Star Fox and actually filled out a match. This was some top tier gameplay back in the day. I didn't really have a whole lot of friends back in the late 90s to play these modes to their fullest, but here I am in high school getting that experience with people my age. wild. We also did have Perfect Dark and Mario Kart and played the crap out of those. But I'm going to focus on a different path. I gained a close friend in that class, and his name was B, and I'm going to go for that name to mask any identity. So I'd visit my friend B at his house and would play some Armored Core with him. And I think it was still Armored Core 3 at this point, but maybe it was Silent Line. I can't remember. I had my female rent's car at the time. It was an old van, and I would drive out to my friend's house and play Armored Core with him. We did this several times before he finally turned to me and said, "There's this new game I've been playing." This piqued my curiosity, so I asked him what it was. And he said, "It's kind of like Armored Core. There's guns and stuff, but it's first person. Can't see your character though." I asked him what it was called, and he said it was called Halo. This motherfucker just compared Halo to Armored Core. I didn't need a whole lot of convincing for obvious reasons. The game was, the best game to come out ever and drop from the heavens. We played it a lot, but we mainly played the campaign and co-op and split screen. I remember him being really into the hoorah stuff. I vaguely remember him actually referencing Starship Troopers. Man was ahead of his time, that's for sure. Or maybe he was really actually into the military stuff. I'll touch on that later. So we planned together and his brother and another friend for a total of 6 people to do a 3v3 LAN party. I remember him talking about him and his brother doing it before, so we all got together to do this. And eventually it pans out, we finally have one group in the basement and one upstairs. And we did this for about a dozen games, and there's definitely a skill imbalance, so we shuffle up the teams a few times. We managed to get several games out that didn't devolve into tank sniping, cheesing from the top wall of Blood Gulch. Someone would get really excited about getting killed or getting a kill. You would hear them yell "damn" or "damn it" or "gotcha" from the other room. Me and B had a hell of a time. We got pizza for the event, and eventually it came to an end. He would end up moving out of his parents' place and move into his much older sister's place. It was much closer for me to drive there, so it was pretty good for me. Good event. So now we're playing Halo 2, and at this point, me and him and Buttery would play online late into the night, smoke weed and blast Pantera on these huge magnetic grid speakers. Great time to be alive. But he moved on into a bunk owned by the government. He volunteered for the Marines and ended the whole dynamic between me, Buttery, and B. I keep Halo attached to my person. I bought my own Xbox. I played split screen with my brothers and their friends and my neighbors, and Halo 2 was a magical game. I remember the neighbor friends being more skilled than I was, which was interesting because we were pretty close in skill level. But then there was another time, and this is quite a bit later on. I heard about this weird game called Minecraft from a friend of a friend, and how it was only $10 and it was very worth it, and how people had servers they played on, blah, 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 blah. I was a Halo shooter guy. Building games sounded boring. But then my brother and his friends, who were hanging out at my house every day at this point, had gotten a cracked version of it. They tried to get a server running on this scuffed version of Minecraft, but then we all just decided, screw it, it's not working, let's just buy it. So it was me, my brother, friend I'm gonna call Jay, and his other friend named D, and a couple other friends. We started a dedicated server, and we all had laptops, and I had my older desktop upstairs, and I brought it down. I missed the first session because I had work or something, but basically our town was way off the initial spawn. I remember them having to guide me to town because it was across several oceans, and I didn't know how to navigate in a Minecraft world. Early Minecraft was, again, very new and magical. Digging down to the bedrock for the first time, building my first house out of stone and wood, having surround glass on it, making a community garden. I remember Jay making a solely wooden house, and someone trolling his house, I'm not going to mention who, by catching the whole thing on fire. It spread to the other houses, but it was contained. I also remember D just being bored one of these days and trapped my tiny shack with a huge amount of TNT underneath it. And I remember how we'd go on these long trips and only to die in a dungeon. And there were many, many, many servers that I was part of through the years. I remember them all fondly. Shit, I met Rage on a modded Minecraft server from a LAN party that I joined from a person I met in a convention. But now, all that is dust and echoes of the past. The last time I remember this being something that anyone around me did was a little over 10 years ago. It's all online now. There's a distinct layer of impersonality that I just can't seem to get over. I feel like the nostalgia is painting my view of the past with some kind of rose-tinted filter. But I do try to keep that innate feeling to do stuff in meat space alive. I specifically do it with a weekly D&D game that I do specifically in Meat Space. It's reminiscent and familiar. I'm glad I have it. I somehow fell into a series of coincidences to get into the group too, but even that's beginning to degrade. Our regular DM got a full-time job, and we're rotating our DM in the meantime. I really don't want that to die like the other groups that I've been part of. Our previous game had a phenomenal cast. I played a robot, go figure, and was among the most hilarious people, and we did some wild stuff. We had a scribe, so I have all of this story written down on our Discord. If you want, I can tell some stories about this campaign in pieces. Let me know with a thumbs up or a comment. I will be linking my Discord in the bottom if you want to chat about it too. But that brings me to the end of my trip, into the past and the present. Maybe there's a solution to our land problem now. I know you could probably guess what it is. I'm sorry, but Meat Space is kind of inconvenient. The solution, go figure, is VR. More specifically, a metaverse type space like VR chat. It almost achieves this attaching a person to a voice kind of thing. Body language, atmosphere, and food being a big part of LAN parties of the past. Sure, we can have the food part in VR, but we can have the atmosphere and the body language. I played GeoGuessr recently in VR chat, and I really felt that spark from the LAN era. It was definitely in the back of my mind, but I recognized it. I'll be elaborating on this concept in further detail in a future video. It will likely be called VR is the most social thing we can do online. Subscribe so you don't miss that. I'm gonna wrap it up there, and you can find me in the Discord linked below and also the comments. I would also recommend checking out Chipsimole's SoundCloud or YouTube. He's the one who made the music for this video, and I did not mention Dodgy. His link is in the channel as well. He's one of my creator buddies. But yeah, tell me about some of your LAN story experiences you fondly remember while gaming, or maybe some cool D&D parties you were part of. Just share some stories. I'm interested to hear them. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video, meatbags.